Hello everyone, today I'm inviting you to knit this fantastic universal beanie hat that's good for men and women and kids as well. So it's super easy. The only thing you need is to measure your head circumference and to have some yarn and the needles to knit it. You don't even need just circular, you can use both straight needles if you want to, because we will knit this way and then we will just make an invisible seam that is very hard to find it. Here is it. So that's how the seam looks like. It's very unnoticeable. And then the top we will just make shortened rows and then join together the top stitches. So when you knit this hat, you will use shortened rows. So you have this effect because we will not knit the last stitches, we will just skip them. And that's why it gets this shape. So basically the hat consists of several parts like this one, normally from 6 to 8, but you can have different, depends how you want your top. So as I told you, the only measurement you need is your head circumference. This one was knitted for the sizes from 54 to 58 centimeters, but I took 56 to make all my calculations because the stitch is very stretchy. You can use for different head sizes. So after you know that you have 56 centimeters, you must know how many stitches you must have on your needles, so how many stitches you cast on, because this one, the stitches that you cast on, is the length of your hat. So how I calculated, I have 56 centimeters, right? I divided into 3 and I got 18,333, so I took just 18 centimeter. 18 centimeter, so 1/3 of the head circumference is normally the hat length. But beanie hat is not just a hat, it's a hat that is a bit slightly longer. So I added 5 centimeters here. But also this hat you can fold like that, so you can use different styles. So I added another 4 centimeters, and in total I get normally from 27 to 28 centimeters length. So here I have around 20, I check with my centimeter, yeah, 28 centimeter length. That's universal, that's very nice for grown-up size, and normally for the kids I use 23-25 centimeters. So after you know that the length must be 28 centimeters, you know also that 56 is your head circumference, but if you knit 56 centimeters, it will be very stretchy. So normally you get 15% less of this number to make the hat very, like, not too large. So minus 15%, you get like 48 centimeters. So when you have these parts, you can measure one part. For example, I have 6 or 7 centimeters, so 48 divide 6, for example, is 8 parts. So I know that I must knit 8 parts of this to get this number 48, and it will suit 56 because it's super stretchy. So now I know that I need 28 centimeters to cast on and 48 to have in total length of the hat. The other thing I must do is to knit the sample. Normally you knit a sample of 10 centimeter and 10 centimeters. So you know how many rows in your 10 centimeter and how many stitches. So what I got with me is that 1 centimeter equals 2 stitches, and I have 4 rows. 4 rows. So now I need to calculate the top part, this part, how many stitches I must leave unknitted. Normally I leave around 10 stitches, so this part is around 15 or from 10 to 20% of your total length must be this top part, no more, you know, from 10% to maximum 20% is the part that is like this. And so I have to know how many rows I have here. So I got that I have 6 centimeters here and is 24 rows. 24 rows. 24 rows, I divide 2, so I get that I need 12 stitches unknitted. You know, 12 stitches that I will leave to create this ankle. So what I need to know is how many of these parts I must knit. As I told you, I have 48 centimeter circumference. I divide 6, so I need 8 of these parts. After I knit all of them, I just seam. So that's the only thing you need to know. Another thing, you must choose any yarn you like. I like Merino wool because it's super soft, but also I use unshrinkable, and it's 20% acrylic, which makes it even stronger. And I use the recommended needles, 4 millimeters. So this is very, you need very little yarn. I have 50 gram, 125 meters, and normally I use 2 balls, and I have a little bit of leftover. If you use smaller needles, of course you must have more stitches. So now you must know how many you must cast on. I have 28 centimeters and I have in 1 centimeter 2 stitches. So 28 multiplied 2 is 56 stitches. So I cast on 55 stitches. You don't have to be exactly precise, but around these numbers you must act to get proportional beanie hat. And as I told you, the recommended for me is 12 stitches unknitted. I will show you now what does it mean unknitted. I will show you step by step, don't worry. But you can even get the number 10 or 13, it will not change the hat. So in case you still didn't understand the calculation, you can leave just 10 stitches unknitted if you use similar yarn and similar needles and have similar head size. So I tried to be as precise as I could, but if you still have questions, write in the comments below and I will try to make calculations for you, because maybe when you do for the first time it's too much information and could be hard to understand what you have to do, because I knitted so many and for me it now looks super easy. Always knit a sample to understand how many stitches and how many rows you have in 1 centimeter. Like that, everything will be much easier. So let's get started. Now I show you how to cast on with the contrast yarn to make an invisible seam. You're taking the contrast color yarn and the hook. You're gonna chain 3 and 1, 2, 3, Now you need the needle that you will work with, and we put the needle on top of yarn and the hook in front. So just grab the yarn and pull through the loop on the hook. So you have one loop. Second, and you have to cast on as many as you need for your hat, as you calculated for your hat. So I will cast on 55. So always put behind the working yarn, must be always behind. And you continue. Sorry, don't miss. Always put behind. So now I have 4, and I will continue until I don't have 55. You can have your number of stitches. So now I have 55 stitches, and I'm going to take the working yarn, the one I'm going to use for the hat, and knit normal way. So actually for this one you can use both circular and straight needles. I prefer circular, but so we will just use knit stitch for this hat. Okay, and continue until the end of the row with the knit stitch. To show you how to finish the row, when you have the last stitch, just put the working yarn in front and put the needle like that, move the working yarn and pull it like that. So like this you can have a nice edge. Now we're gonna start on the other side, and we as well will use the knit stitch. Put the working yarn, and now just the working yarn is behind. Just slip the first stitch without anything, and then continue to make the knit stitch. And continue until the end of this row. Last stitch again. Here you make the same. Put the working yarn in front, pull it behind and put on your needle. So now we are going to start our third row, and here we have to leave the stitches that you calculated unknitted. So at the end here, I'm gonna leave 12 stitches. You may have the different number, like 10 or whatever you calculated. And so let's continue as we started the previous rows. Just slip the very first stitch, pull a bit so your edge will be nice, and now continue with the knit stitch. Always try to make the first stitch tighter so the hat will have nice edge as well. And continue with the knit stitch until I will have 12 stitches before the end of the row. So I have 12 stitches that I will leave, and now I take the yarn and I put in front. I take the 12 stitch and I put it like that by wrapping the yarn around 12 stitch. You can even do like that. Switch your work to the other side. So now I have 12 stitches here and the yarn is here. So I take the 12 stitch and I move it back and I put the working yarn as usual behind the work like that. So you wrapped the 12 stitch, and now I just continue with knit stitch until the end of the row. Just like this. Here at the end of that row I do exactly the same. We will always do the same at all the rows. Just put in front and purl like that. So now I'm going to switch and start the fourth row the same like the third one. So just slip the first stitch and continue with knit stitch until you arrive here where you had the 12 stitches left. Now I'm at the end of the fourth row, and here we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 stitches, and the last two you knit the 12 stitch. And now the same what we did with 12 stitch we make with 11 stitch. Put the working yarn, skip, you put here, so we are wrapping the 12 stitch or the 11 stitch. You can put it back, then just turn and put the working yarn behind. So you can see that you wrap the 11th stitch and continue with the knit stitch until the end. And like that we will wrap all the left stitches. Later will be the 10th, the 9th, the 8th, and we will get this kind of shape that you will see later. So I will show you a few stitches more how to do it, and I'm sure you can do it by yourself all the rest. Just continue with the knit stitch. And we will meet at this point and I show you one more time how to do it. So now we have the 10 stitch, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, that we will do the same. Wrap around, put it, slip it back, turn your work, and continue with the knit stitch. And like this, continue until the very last one. I will show you the last one in case somebody will have some doubts. And we meet when we have all the rows done. So I have finished one part of the hat, and now I will calculate how many of these parts I need to make to finish my hat. So my head size is 56 centimeters, and I will take just 15% less of this number because the stitch is very stretchy. So I calculated that 15% is around 8 centimeters, so 56 minus 8 is 48 centimeters. So now I see that here I have 8 centimeters, this one. So 48 divided 8 is 6. I need 6 times to knit this part. You may have different number depending on your head measurements. And now I'm going to start the second part. So we will practically do the same, knit stitch until you have 12, and then repeat the same 11 and 10 and so on and so forth, and you will see. So after I knit the second part, I show you so you can see. So when I will have 12 stitches left, I repeat what I did to arrive here. Just knit until 12, and then you will see. So now I am showing you again last time to be sure that you really can do this. So the same, and wrap and continue. So you don't have to knit any other row. Just after you finish the very first part of the hat, you restart the second one, and like this. So I hope it's clear. If you still have questions, you can ask in the comments and I will always help you out. I have crocheted 2 parts, and that's how it looks like right now. So you see that we have 2 absolutely same parts, and now I'm starting the third one the same way exactly as we did this one. Leave 12 and continue. So continue until you have the right number of the parts. I call them parts, don't know the right name, and I will have in total 6. And we meet, I show you how to seam the bag, the hat, sorry.